Okay, I'm gonna try to make this quick. You can kind of hear my voice is like a little messed up still, not really, but whatever. What am I gonna talk about? My big YOLO going into this week. Talking about SPY. This is actually very important to look at because futures just opened. S&P futures are down like 100 points, which is huge. But more importantly, GameStop trajectory. GameStop, yeah. We've got a good amount to go over. I'm gonna try to make this quick because I have stuff to do. The worst part is like when this is playing out, I'm gonna be on a plane to Mexico, so it's like pray for me, please. I'm gonna be taking the biggest financial risk of my life, and I have a lot of conviction that it's gonna work out. And if it doesn't, I have stops outlined. Like I'm not gonna lose all the money. Like I'm not dumb. I'm stupid, but I'm not dumb if you catch my drift. But anyways, here we go. Really quick. Let's just say what I think the possibilities are tomorrow before we see something stupid. And I'm going with discount now. This is most definitely what is going on right now, right? So 5-leg move up. And we're looking at this. Either this is the low right here at 104 or it's going to come down to 98. Yeah, inevitable. It's one of those two. And what I'm looking at tomorrow is either we bounce around here at 109, and if we don't bounce there, we're coming down to 98. And the thing is, see, I'm more inclined. I really want this 109 to be right. That would be awesome if we recover there and that's it. But if it falls lower, we're going to come down to this 98. That I'm positive of. We look at SPY futures, and holy fuck, bro, this is ugly. Good for me, because I'm short. Yay, but let's talk about this a little bit. So looking at this whole move down, I talked about, I think it was a few weeks ago, right around here, I tweeted, if SPY cannot break this level, it's going to dump. And it's going to make this whole move down look like nothing. And so far, the way I'm looking at this is just the first leg down of a wave 3. And the way we count the subdivision would be something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5 into 3, whatever. That doesn't matter. I'm looking at this as the way it counts out. This is the wave 1 of a larger 3 down. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. And the reason I say that is because, right, you have this big move down, move up to whatever. I'm not even going to explain that too much. It doesn't matter. Point is, I expected SPY to drop a lot over the weekend, and now it looks like, well, obviously we got the big dump with futures, but how does that play into everything else, right? So for one, again, I'm not talking exclusively GameStop just yet because broad market is important to understand. So looking at Tesla, obviously, because, you know, Tesla's a big proponent and how the market moves as well. I think we're set up for another leg down. But okay, enough of that. Let's go back to GameStop and why I think this week will be ridiculous. So for one, what really gets me excited is this setup is literally the exact same thing as August. Exact same thing. And this August move made a bunch of millionaires. That I am sure of. But let's dig into this and see how exactly it works out. And so just look at the structure, right? Just from looking at this, you can see we have the same type of formation going on, but I'm going to dig really deep into it. So for one, we're looking at this diagonal, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 comes into territory of 2, or wave 1, right? 1, 2, 3. 3 up, 4 down. 4's here, 1's here. This comes into that territory. So diagonal, this final leg, it doesn't even matter. Shouldn't come that much higher up, and then boom, whatever. I was tweeting about this when it happened, and then the leg down came to here, right? Anyways, you understand that. But then we'll also take retracements just so we can look for some sort of, level. And so in this instance, we didn't quite take the 786, but the 618 at the very minimum was hit. So you remember that, you saw that, and now we're going to look at time extensions also. Same thing. We're going to look at this and look at the turn date. Was the 0.382 extension, between the 0.382 and the 0.5 is when this turned around. And so we have that, okay, right? You have that down. Now we'll come to here, right? Same formation, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. 4 comes into the territory of 1, just barely, but it does. And 5 barely makes a newer high relative to 3. This is 3, this is 5. Same exact thing, right? Okay, so there's one level of confluence, or if that's how you want to phrase it. And then 2, we'll go from the low of this move to the high, up to here. 618 tick, boom, right there, right fucking there. Beautiful tick. So there's another level of confluence. But then again, this level right here at 104.69, that was important. I forget which day it was. but I tweeted out two different images of the GameStop chart. I think it was when SPY dumped very, very hard, and I'm like, or I was so tired. It was like there's two charts. I'm like it bounces here, it bounces here, and yeah, this was a chart. And so, right in pre-market, at like this was like 1 o'clock in the morning where I live. We opened and we came down to 107.48, and that was the make or break for the other account that I had going. And then in this picture, you can see that I had us coming down to 104 ish, and that's exactly what happened. But anyways, right, we have that. Pretty much the same thing, but again, if it were to come lower, the 786 is confluent with, this is like this bounce down here at 97, 98 would be the exact same thing as August. So again, that's why I'm watching for this level down here. It's not ruled out. I'd say it's less likely, but it's also not impossible. And that would be, instead of looking at this as A, B, C, it would be A, B, C down to here. But again, it doesn't really matter. So now we have that. Now finally, let's pick out our time extensions. And again, this is just like looking for confirmation bias. But again, see the 382 is right here, and that marked the turn, or in theory it did. So we'll have to see. I think if it doesn't bounce at 109, it's going to come down to here. And I mean, if I pull up a 15-minute chart, you can actually see we do have some gaps, even on the 15-minute chart, right? If you look right here, we do have this gap at like 109.2 up to 109.5. It's like a 20-30 cent gap, but you'll notice it's like more or less confluent with this level I have right here. So that supports the argument to see down to here. But then again, what's also worth noting is we still have like tiny little, not much, but we have these little gaps around here too, which supports the case that, okay, we could, worst case scenario, it comes down to 98, 99-ish before starting to really rock it up. But assuming it bounces at 109 tomorrow, that's just because I have that as most likely. Then we'd be looking at these targets next, the upside, but the larger degree 3 is coming up to 177.13. Remember that number, or 177.3. Notice how this 177 level more or less form a double top right here from this move we had in April. Remember the after hours, we went from like 130 to 170? That's interesting, right? So that's how it's projected right now. If it does replicate what happened in August, right? And I back tested this so much because while I am taking a YOLO, it's a very calculated risk. I mean, I say that, but I'm going to be buying like 50% out of the money calls that expire in like 3 days. But anyways, if we look at the ratios here, this 191 level was basically the equivalent to this 177. But the thing is, this is like a bigger scale. And the thing is, if this move is replicated to the same Fibonacci ratios, which, oh my fucking God, if that happened, I would lose my shit. If that happened, we come to the 2618 extension. Remember, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is how we're looking at this. And so we're about to start this leg right here. And we don't know if we're here or here relative to our current positioning. If it replicates the same ratios with this low at 104, and we break through 177, it's going to come up to like 220. And so, like, now you can kind of see why I'm inclined to take such a big YOLO on this. There's just so much potential profit to be had. And I mean, from a risk to reward perspective, if it breaks, I'm looking to buy in at 109. If it doesn't bounce here, I'm waiting till, down to like 99-ish. If it loses that, and it comes down a bit, I would stop out, I lose a couple grand, worst case scenario. Best case scenario, I'm making hundreds of thousands of dollars if it plays out the way I think that it will. So I'd say, the odds are pretty good. But you have an idea of what I think GameStop does this week. Going back to August, again, this was a Tuesday. A Tuesday morning. I'm forecasting us to be red tomorrow. I forecasted that, or I predicted that on Friday. I entered short calls on this day, and I was originally in a March monthly position in options, but I sold out of that here because I had a feeling like it's going to come down before it makes another move up, and so I'm just waiting for this downswing before I make any new moves. I guess I'll check futures one more time because, dude, Jesus Christ, this is not looking good for the broad market. Assuming, oh God, let's project this a little bit. So if we're looking at this as a wave 1 down and 2 up, the next leg down, in theory, oh my God, let's clear these out. Next leg down, in theory, comes down to at least 3,900 on on SPX. So on SPY, that's under 400. So, well, obviously we have to watch. I'm not God. I don't know what's gonna happen. I like to project stuff, but I don't know. I really don't know. You guys have an idea of where my head's at now. I think you understand like what I'm doing with my money this week. I'm not a financial advisor. Please do not follow me. I'm not responsible for anything that happens. But I've laid out what I'm doing. So I'll post like the entry screenshot when I do it. So wish me luck. That's fucking right, eh? But hey, cool. Thanks for checking in. Till next time. Peace.